Well, hello everyone. I'm Jessica Nicholson with Billboard, and this is our Future of Country panel. And we have here today a group of amazing artists who are all making an incredible impact on country music. Miss Megan Moroney, Priscilla, Bailey Zimmerman, and Nate Smith. Thank you all so much for being here. And we'll just jump right into it. Well, first of all, these past few years have been incredible for all of you. But as you're looking back on it, what are a couple of memories or milestones that really stand out? And Priscilla, let's start with you.
Gosh, I think that there's really nothing that compares to meeting your fans face to face, and especially with me and the way that my career kind of happened on social media, like meeting the people that like changed my life. And that show up to the shows and they're like, oh my gosh, like we were your day one girl. I'm like, oh my gosh, so good to see you. It's just, I think that's really been the highlight of it,
Absolutely. Megan, what about you?
I think like for me, like first of all, hearing my song on the radio for the first time, I will never ever forget that. But I was an opener all last fall and Tennessee Orange came out in September. And by my November and December shows, every single room I went into, they screamed the words back to me. And that's kind of like an oh shit moment,
Absolutely.
I would say that's up there with the radio.
Absolutely. And guys, what about you?
I think it's honestly all just been pretty nuts. I didn't sing, so I never went to church and sang or was like, I really want to be a country artist. I just fell into it one day, tried to sing, and was like, dang, that's all right. And then all of a sudden, TikTok blew my first song I ever tried to write up. So I would say everything that happens every single day is like, holy crap. But one that's happened recently would be last night at the Billboard Country Awards. I got Rookie of the Year for Billboard. And that was just that was a big one. And it was the biggest honor because Hardy gave me the award. He would announce that I got it. And it was really big because he was the only artist I listened to other than him and Morgan. I didn't listen to anybody else from 2016 to 2023. I still don't, and it was a really big deal for me. So I'd say that was one of my biggest holy freaking crap moments. So yeah. But yeah, let's go. Hell yeah.
I think I'm with Bailey on it. Just there's been so many amazing things that have happened, and I was little backstory on me. I was going to be a nurse. That was kind of my whole plan. And you got some medical people here? Yeah, let's go. I was a CNA, so I was helping you out with your Q2 turns and turning them in the bed and doing all the other stuff. But I love that job, taking care of people, and I feel like music kind of does that in a different way. And I'm just so grateful. I can't believe this is a job. And getting to see amazing people, meeting fans, and seeing my family more often. So now I have all these shows, so the family all comes out to all these spots. So that's one of the greatest parts is getting to spend more time with them. But just so happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, when you have songs blow up like that for all of you, and then you're here in Nashville, you get the deals, the label deals, the management deals. It feels like there's this perception that if I can just get the label deal, I've made it. It feels like a lot of brand new artists. Can you talk about the perception of that versus the reality? Nate, let's start with you.
Yeah, that's just the beginning. It really is. I had no idea the amount of, and it's weird to say work, when we're talking about this career, but there is a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of time and a lot of planning, and many people that come around us that help with so many different things. But yeah, it's definitely a grind. But so thankful for the label. That is where started it for me and everything. But that's the very, very beginning. And then you're just fighting. You're doing interviews all the time, and you're recording, and you're juggling all these things at one time. So it's definitely shifted my perspective on things a lot, but so happy to be here.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have anything to add in terms of
I would
that?
say that it's like baseball. I played, my dad made me play baseball for 14 years. A long time I played baseball. And what he would always tell me is, you think you're working hard now, but just wait until you have to go play D1 college. Then you're gonna have to work harder than 98% of people in America trying to play baseball. And then when you get to the AAA or AA, then you're gonna have to work even harder. And then when you get to the majors, just imagine how hard you're gonna have to work. And that's basically what a label is. Like I said, I started on TikTok and had no idea what was going on. And I kind of jumped into label really quick. I had a record deal in like 3 months from starting to sing. So I didn't know, like, I personally didn't know that was a big deal to get a record deal. It didn't feel like that to me, you know? So like, I had no idea that it was like such a big deal to get one. But that's what I've always told all the artists that come to me, and they're like, man, when you signed a record deal and you did this and you started, you know, having to like do all these stuff, did it feel like they did it for you? And I'm like, absolutely not, man. Like you have to run your own company. You have to write songs that you love, and like you have to do your own thing. You have to run a company. You have to think of it as a business. Like, I am running this company of 40 people, and they depend on me every single day to get my ass up and go to the interviews and go meet badass fans and go to these tour 4 or 5 days in a week. It's not easy, but we don't have to like work though. I get to take care of my mom, and so I'm not saying it's like, man, my job is so hard. I'm just saying it's not as kick back, ride boats and drink beer. It's like, hey, you got to work your ass off, but you know, that's
But
why,
I mean, down to ride
here.
boats and drink beer.
Yes. But yeah, that's why we're all here. So yeah, it's not as easy, but very, very grateful. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Well, and also, no matter how talented you are, even having great songs, even having luck on your side, you also have to have champions in this industry. And Megan, I want to ask you about that, because I know you found an early champion in Christian Bush, known for his work with Sugarland. Can you talk a little bit about working with him and how he's been a champion for you?
Yeah, so Christian Bush, he's amazing. I started as his intern. I went to the University of Georgia, and I was in the music business program. And I remember the head of the music business program saying, this is the best thing this program has to offer you. Yeah, you could probably go intern at the Georgia Theater and it'd be a lot easier, but you need to drive to Atlanta at least twice a week and go be a publishing intern. And I learned how to do all the publishing stuff, which was helpful because I wasn't writing songs full-time yet or anything. So just knowing about, you know, songwriting in that aspect definitely helped me. But yeah, I was his intern with his brother, Brandon Bush. And then he knew that I sang, but when I walked into their studio in Atlanta, there were Grammys on the wall, and I was like, I'm keeping my mouth shut. I've written like 3 mediocre songs, so I'm not an aspiring songwriter yet. We're not doing that. But after the internship had ended and I moved to Nashville, he knew I moved, so he checked in with me and was like, how's it going? And I was like, not great. I'm writing with like people that I've met at Tin Roof, and it's not going well. And he was like, let me help you out. I'll get you in, you know, some rooms with some of my songwriter friends. He introduced me to my manager, and she definitely helped me out with that too. So, and I think like his brain as a producer, he's insane, and just, he thinks differently than anyone I've ever met. But even like, he's gone through the artist thing. So he's been a great mentor to help me through anything that I'm going through now, because he did the same kind of stuff with Sugarland. So he's a great guy to know, and he's definitely been a champion for me.
Was there any specific advice that he gave you as you were kind of starting out?
Advice? I mean, he tells me, you know, to take it all in, which I've been actively trying to do, because sometimes you're so busy, like I don't ever have a day where I can just sit around and like take it all in. And I think I don't know, what I'm doing right now is crazy, and he knows that. He's gone through it, and sometimes you don't have time to think about it. And I just try to take it in, and that's, I feel like, the best advice he's given me, because he's gone through it, and
I love that.
Not easy.
Well, what about the rest of you? Who have been your champions in the industry?
Gosh, I mean, I've had a lot. You know, I think y'all being back here, I'm like, hey. I'm like, y'all better be not holding up like bunny ears or something. I think, you know, I signed mine and Bailey's situation. It's interesting because it's very similar, but very different. I've lived in Nashville for 9 years, and I moved out here. I didn't know one single person. And I had like $200 to my name. And I really think that it starts with believing in yourself. And you have to be your biggest champion for this thing to work. And because you are in a world where there's such incredible artists out there that are on TikTok grinding, but like, if you don't believe in yourself, like someone else will believe in themselves more. And I really, through all of this, I've built such an amazing team, but it's keeping those core people in your life that keep you grounded and that can say, Priscilla, like, not too long ago, you had duct tape on your car. Like, girl, calm down. Your problems aren't that problematic, okay? But like having people that can reel you in and make you soak in these moments and realize like, we are lucky as hell, and this does not happen to everyone. And you want to keep those kinds of people wherever they are, whether it's your management, your label, your team. It's people that believe in you and will, call you out if you're not being thankful.
Absolutely. Well, and talk about the artist community too. I really feel like this new generation of artists that are coming up, there's a camaraderie, there's a community there. Can you speak to that a little bit? And who are some maybe artists that you know that you can reach out to for anything?
All right, you go. You go, it's fine. I will talk honestly too much, so just go.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like when you get into nobody was going.
Yeah,
And
it's fine. Honestly, just have at it. I love it.
I'll go. When I got into town, like you, I had no idea. I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I knew nobody. So it was like really crazy. Like I remembered I was driving by Big Loud, and you would see like Morgan on the top, like doing whatever with Hardy, or you'll like see your idols up there, like doing whatever. And then you come into town and like you start meeting random people at random places, like Russell Dickerson. I met him like at a random bar, and I was like, holy shit, dude, you're Russell Dickerson. Like, oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan. And that's how it's like always been. Like Chris Young, Losers Bar. Met Chris Young at Losers Bar. And it just like, holy crap, it was like, holy crap. Yeah. And it's like, holy crap, you're freaking Chris Young, man. So, but that's the craziest thing. When you come to Nashville and you live here, you'll meet like a lot of artists and you'll realize they're not like, you always think they're going to be rude. You always think they're going to be like an asshole. And then you meet them and they're like the best people ever. And to answer your question, I guess, like Morgan has been a big artist that I can just call. And Hardy has been a really big one. But my first one was Ernest. Ernest was like the first guy that was like, dude, if you have any questions, just like give me a call about this or give me a call about that. But them boys have been like really good to me and helped me out because I don't know where I would be if I didn't have them. That'd be weird.
Absolutely. And Nate, what about you?
I think one of the first artists that kind of helped me out a little bit, Brett Eldridge took me on tour, and that was pretty special for me. I've been a fan of him. I think he's got one of the best voices in country music, and but he just showed me like what a headliner's like, and he took care of me and my band, and it made us feel so loved and appreciated, and I had nothing to offer at all. And at the very end, he gave me a nice bottle of alcohol and some cash and a nice note, and I'm like, man, Brett, like that's how it's done. So it's like that's what you got to do, and I just love learning from. I'm on tour with TR and Thomas Rhett right now and Cole Swindell, and man, they're legit amazing people. And every night I'm just out there as a student, just watching them play and everything. And there's just so much to learn. So we're lucky. I think a lot of these artists want to help the new artists, and you can definitely feel it.
The other thing I think is interesting is it's not just each of you individually that are going through this rocket ride in your careers. You're also going through it with your loved ones, with your families. It also impacts them too. And I feel like that's not talked about a whole lot. Can you talk about that a little bit, what it's been like bringing them along for the ride?
I lost my mom. She's basically now she's basically a fan. She's not a mom anymore. I've never seen her in any other shirt than a Nate Smith shirt. I walk up, I'm like, Mom, hug. She's like, can I have your autograph? I'm like, whoa, Mom, like, what the hell is going on here? Jesus,
keeping the
this
merch
has gotten out of control.
strong.
Feel that?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
The parents are like
same.
crazy about it.
Yeah, my mom always says, I don't want to be a bother. And I'm like, you are the reason I'm here though. What do you even mean? My mom is like, we didn't have air at one time. We had it to where when I would walk in my house, my bathroom door would hit my living room couch. Like, I didn't have a bedroom. We went through some crazy shit together, and it's really cool to show her new things, like flying on a private jet and riding in a tour bus and doing this and doing that. Taking her to things that I never thought I'd be able to give her is like, that's the coolest part. So that's like the biggest thing to me as a family.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have, pretty supportive families, and keeping them close is good. My family, I'm just like, y'all don't say something stupid on Facebook. I'm like,
Somebody wanted to put my mom on a podcast, and I was like, she needs media training.
yeah, you're like,
She'll be name dropping first and last names of my exes, and I'm like, we cannot do that on the radio air. We cannot do that.
They don't get it. I'm like, guys, I know I'm not that famous, but okay, people are really trying to always get the downfall. That is one thing that I have learned. I'm like, stop saying stupid things. Do not even think about posting anything on your status, Dad. I mean, so literally I have to prep them anytime they come to a show. I'm like, just don't go into any childhood stories. Like, let's just stay normal. They're like, this is so cool.
My mom told an iHeartRadio guy that I called 911 as like an 8-year-old. And I'm like, they didn't need to know that.
Why did they need to know that?
Why did they need to know that information?
She's been calling for help since she was born. I love it.
Well, and speaking of social media, it feels like nowadays there's always pressure to constantly add content, feeding the machine. How do you deal with that and balance that between that and making music, which is obviously what you're here to do?
I feel like I try to just not overthink it. Like, there's no strategy, and I don't tell myself weekly, you need to post this amount. Like, if something funny happens in my life, then I post it, or something entertaining which usually there's always something to do. Like, we rode go-karts in South Dakota the other day, and that was very eventful. But I feel like just not putting pressure on it, because I feel like when people, if you try to set out a schedule and be like, I have to post, then it's like, people can feel that too. Mm-hmm. I feel like the most organic stuff is what does the best on social media. So not thinking too much into it is how I approach it, at least.
Absolutely.
Okay. Where are we going?
Well, I want to talk about touring as well, because it has been such, not only a rocket ride for each of you on the charts with your music, but it's also a learning curve in terms of performing, touring. And each of you have kind of come into this a little bit differently and uniquely. But Bailey, I know you and I have talked previously about kind of going from 0 to 100 in terms of touring. Can you talk about that a little bit and what you've learned?
My first show ever was Coleman, Alabama at Rock the South, and I was opening up for Luke Combs. And I had never sang on a stage. I had never rehearsed. I had never sang they have in-ear monitors so you can hear yourself. And I'd never done any of that shit. I had never done none of it. And they were like, yeah, you're going to go play this. And it's 25 minutes. And I thought, 25 minutes? I could sing for 25 minutes. That's easy. Anybody can do that. No, wrong. You can't. It's not going to work. So you have to breathe when you sing. Like I said, I started singing in 2021, basically. It's December of 2020, but then I really started singing in January of 2021. And I just started singing. So I didn't ever take lessons or know that you had to breathe. I just thought to get some rasp, you got to close your throat and just sing as hard as you possibly can. And that just doesn't work. So I go out there, and I've always been a fan of Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl most of the time will just sprint to the end of the catwalk and then come back. So that's what I thought I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to sprint to the end of the catwalk, and that's what I'm going to do. And there was no fans even, but I was just like, whatever, just rock out and just have fun. So I did it, and 22 minutes in, I couldn't breathe. I can't breathe. It's 110 degrees outside, and that's when I learned, okay, this is not as easy as everybody makes it look, So yeah, it's been a learning curve because of, to point on TikTok and stuff. Yes, everything is filmed and it's great, but also the bad stuff is also filmed every time. So if you make a mistake here or make a mistake there, that's going to get filmed by 20,000 people, and they're going to post it. So it's kind of been a weird thing, because we've blown up so fast and been big artists with big songs on the charts so fast that we all really haven't had like the time to tour like we are now. So it's really like, yeah, this is also badass, but I really hope I don't make a mistake tonight because I don't want to have to deal with that on social media, you know? So it's been fun, and I would say I'm ready now. Like, I'm vibing now. I love playing out. I don't have any worries anymore. But ask like 3 months ago, Bailey, I probably would have like cried and just like curled up in a ball because it was pretty tough. Like, your voice can't withstand for 60 minutes at a time when you've only been singing for a year. It has no idea what to do. So it's been a learning curve, but I'm having a hell of a time doing it.
Absolutely. What about the rest of you? What has it been like, again, a learning curve with touring as you've been on the road with, because all of you have been on the road with amazing artists too. Have there been tips or tricks or techniques that you've picked up along the way that have helped you to grow as performers?
Take naps.
Yeah, and I think just like with anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And there's no way, like, for example, my very first arena show happened a couple weeks ago with Brooks and Dunn, and the power went out completely. And there's no way to practice, like, you can't rehearse what you're gonna do when something like that happens. But I feel like because I'd played, you know, so many shows now that like I knew how to handle it and it was fine. And I'm sure there will be things that happen where I don't know how to handle it. But I feel like the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And there's really no handbook you can read on how to perform and entertain people. So yeah, just the more reps you get in, I feel like that helps.
Absolutely. And as each of you have had songs rise up the charts and really resonate with fans, do any of you have maybe a specific show that you really kind of felt that you saw the tide turning, that you really were like, okay, this is really resonating with people. I can see it right here in front of me in this particular show with the audience?
You know, most people will know the radio hits, right? Well, hopefully they do. You know, you're like, all right, well, how far did that one get? All right, we will judge, you know, by how much people know it. But there is something, gosh, like, it's the shows that the fans are singing the deep album cuts. And you're like, what? Like, wait, this is really awesome. Like, you just don't only just know just about Over You. That's really cool. Thank you. But when you hear that, it's like always those shows that you're like, it's like a random song and everyone's saying every single word and you're like, well, that was really cool, you know? And I think it happens obviously with headlining shows because, you know, most of your fans are there, but like when you're playing a random festival, like recently we just did Hangout and, I was the only female country act on the bill. There was 2 country artists. And it was like SZA was playing it, like Paramore. I'm like, nobody is showing up to my Mermaid stage to see the 45-minute set. Like, okay, but whatever, it's fine. And there were so many fans there, like, singing the songs. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, you're at a festival that's not only country, and you have people from all over that are listening to SZA, but are showing up and singing my songs. And I think that's like it was a really, really special moment.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of album cuts, each of you followed up, you put your projects out. When it came to writing and getting songs together for that, did you feel any pressure to maybe follow up on the hits that you've had? Or what was it like figuring out what you wanted to say as an artist in a full-fledged project? Nate, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, picking songs is quite an ordeal. We're writing all the time.
Nate has so many songs, by the way. Nate has like 500 songs. I've seen your notes.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're saying here. No, I do write a lot, and I feel like, you know, when I first moved to town, one of the things that Rusty Gaston said to me when he signed me at the publishing company was, it's not a singing contest here; it's a song contest, and songs are what drive this entire genre. And so just going through all the songs, it's hard to pick the right ones, but you got to listen to your gut. I've got a great team around me that kind of helps me with that as well and stuff. But can't really look behind. You just got to look forward, and I'm trying to be more and more honest as I go and as I evolve and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a tricky thing.
Absolutely. Priscilla and Megan, I want to ask you specifically about your projects because I really feel like both of you in your own ways bring a lot of humor and even a little sarcasm at times to some of your lyrics.
We're like sisters. Yeah. No, never.
But talk about that because country music does have such a long history of humor and comedy in a way to it. Can you talk about adding that into your music and what is that fine line of getting it right?
Well, humor is a coping mechanism for me. So like for a song like Sleep on My Side, if you haven't heard it, the hook is I sleep on my side and you sleep with everyone. Yeah, instead of like, crying over this dude, I just wrote that song and it made me feel better. And I know that, I know who my audience is and I know that they think similarly to me. And if I can write something that makes me feel better, I know it'll make other girls feel better about whatever they're going through. So that's I feel like I wanted the album to be very me, and I feel like, yeah, we're sarcastic and I don't know. I try not to take life too seriously, so that's why I like to put that in my music.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm the girl. I'm like an actual walking train wreck all the time. I'm either laughing or crying. Like, there's really not a whole lot of in-betweens. Like, I'm the girl that's crying at the bar, telling the bartender all my problems, or the girl that's on the dance floor that needs to go home. Most of the time she needs to go home. But, I'm with you on that. Like, when I wrote Thick Thighs, and let me say, they be extra thick these days. But it's like, I'm either gonna laugh about it or cry about it, and it's just something that I feel like we all want to make people smile and we all want to make people laugh. And when you can take a scenario that maybe some people might feel uncomfortable talking about and you can make some light to it and not make it be so heavy, like, no pun intended, that's like, I don't know, you do find that in my music. There's songs that are either going to make you cry or you'll laugh or you'll just be like, this is terrible. So, whatever. Thick thighs save lives.
Yes. Love it.
I feel like too, like we could be having the worst day ever, but the moment we get on stage and we see you guys out there singing with us, it literally flips our entire mood, shifts our entire day around. We couldn't do it without you guys, and it means the world.
Absolutely. Well, and also with so much data readily available, you can instantly see if a song is connecting with fans through streaming, but also in your concerts as well. But talk a little bit about what happens if you think maybe you have one song that you want to promote to radio or just to send out as a promotional single, but maybe you see another one is kind of raising its hand a little bit more. Have you had a situation like that, and how do you decide with your team which to go to?
Boys?
Anyone?
Bailey?
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 You've had
I kind of got actually I got a little lucky. I've not had to deal with that yet. I had my first song go to radio.
All my songs streamed.
He's like, all my songs have gone number one, and I just started singing yesterday.
I can't relate to one of my songs not streaming.
Amazing, and I'm out with Morgan Wallen. His life's really good.
But I mean,
totally kidding.
But I'm kind of running that. We're running into that with my new album. That's kind of like, well, yeah, it kind of is like that too because I didn't ever write a bunch of songs. Like I was releasing songs when I wrote them. Like I would write a song and be like, all right, I like that one, and then I'd just put it on TikTok and release it. And so it was like it kind of like spaced themselves out because I had to write them. So I didn't have to like choose from 500 songs. I had no songs. So I literally remember I released a song called Fall in Love. And then, thank you. And then I went into the studio and my producer's name's Austin. And I was like, yo, so are we just gonna write another one? Or do you have any songs that you want me to cut? Like, what are we doing here? I don't have any more songs. And he was like, well, I found this one. It's called Rockin' Hard Place on Instagram. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll cut that one. That one sounds good. And then I cut it. And then, so it's kind of like, Fall in Love had its time to do its thing. And then, but now we are running into it on the album because I released a bunch of songs. I got to like sit down and write 16 songs or whatever it was and put them out. So now they're like, well, this one's doing good, but this one is also doing just as good. But we think this one might be, it's like, I don't really think about it like Meg. I don't really take life too seriously, so it's kind of just like, whatever you want to do. I just release the music, man. I just work here. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you talk about finding rock in a hard place, and but that also meant a lot to you, that song, when you first heard it. Can you talk about that? I love the story behind that.
It's like, it's the craziest thing when you find a song and you didn't even write the dang thing, and you could have written that song like, oh my gosh, I could have written this song. Like, holy cow, this relates to me a lot. But I went through a pretty just crazy heartbreak thing in 2018, and it was kind of like, why are we even fighting? Like, what are we even fighting for? It doesn't even make any sense. Like, we loved each other like yesterday, and that's what Rock in a Hard Place was written about, is a fight in Boston, actually, for the Rock in a Hard Place fans. It wasn't always midnight in Austin. It was supposed to be midnight in Boston, because one of the writers, Jet Harvey, had a fight with his girl in Boston, and he loves red wine. So they said red wine and mistakes, midnight, and it was supposed to be Boston. But yeah, he wrote it about him and his girlfriend, that he just had nobody at the time, and he's the one who messed it up. He's the guy that messed it up and made the mistakes and stuff. And then now they're back together. Thank the Lord, they're married, which is great. But yeah, it really resonated with me. Because of what I've been through and shit. So yeah.
Rock's not the hard place.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
So it went to rock and no hard place.
Yes, she got a rock, no hard place. It went fantastic, yes.
I love it.
Hey, that was good, right? Yeah, I got you, yeah.
Well, Megan and Priscilla, obviously both of you have had a lot of success on radio and streaming, especially with Tennessee Orange. And then Priscilla, you've got a great duet out with Justin Moore that is killing it.
Thank you.
But in general, still for women in country music, it is still hard. It's still a hard climate. But I wanted to ask you two specifically, what do you feel like can be done going forward just to continue to help females in country music to further their careers? What ideas do you have for that?
Is it me? It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Well, I think, I saw something on the interweb the other day that said that radio stations don't play females back to back ever hardly. So I feel like even if you want to be if we want to be difficult about it, at least start doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just because I feel like there are, obviously females on the radio. And so I feel like just doing, making small steps like that, I feel like to me seems pretty doable.
Absolutely.
And, little things like that, building up over time, I think. It is definitely difficult, though. I obviously don't have an answer right now, but.
Yeah, I mean, I now have my third song at country radio, and it's been amazing, and it's been a slow climb, and I'm super thankful for it. But I've always I always get this question, and a lot of people ask how is it harder, and being a female, and to be honest, growing up, we weren't allowed to have excuses. My mom, if there was an excuse, and I've always tried to feel really take that into my career. And I'm just because I'm a girl, I'm not going to feel like I can't have hit songs at radio, or I can't sell tickets, or if just because I'm a curvy girl, and I don't look like everybody else, no, I'm going to write a song called Thick Thighs and use it to my advantage. And so I really I think it's having that mental thing, who cares if I'm a girl? What are the guys doing? I'm going to go do that shit. You know what I mean? Let's do it.
Yeah, I think I know that that exists, and it is harder, just country radio wise as a female, but that never crosses my mind. I never think, I have no shot at being successful with country radio because I'm a female. I don't let that cross my mind ever. I know that statistically it's a problem, but I don't know. I just never.
But she's got a song that is crushing right now.
Yeah, she's going pretty good for it. It's working out.
I'm incredibly delusional, so what problem?
You're are there problems?
I mean, statistically there are, but in my brain, I'm the same way.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
we
staying
can do that
positive about
shit.
it. Yeah, staying positive about it and not feeling like it's going to be anything that's going to set you back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and guys, what about you guys too? Do you have any thoughts about that as well?
Can I get the question? What's the question?
I don't think we have a leg to stand on here.
What more can be done to help female artists in country music?
I'm kind of like Priscilla. My dad told me to never be the victim. And I'm not a girl, so I really can't speak on this. And I'm not trying to but my dad always told me to never be a victim. Like, yo, you're not the victim. Work harder. Let's go. Like, everybody has obstacles in life. There's guys down the street right now that have no job and have no food. So you have no excuse. Let's go. Like, that's kind of my mentality. I'm with Priscilla on that. But I'm not saying there are some things like that country radio may be able to do. I don't really know because I just live my life. I just kind of hang out. But yeah, hell yeah, let's go. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Hey, you talk on that. You talk on it. I don't know what to say anymore.
We should just take it from the guys.
Clearly, it's harder, but not impossible.
Yeah,
like I
it's
just gotta throw
hard.
it in
It's
there.
not impossible, and there are great songs out there. And to be honest, I think great songs win.
Absolutely.
Yes,
True.
yes.
Absolutely.
Mic drop.
Well, a couple of last questions here as we're getting close to wrapping up. We are heading into CMA Fest this week. Really fun. Yep.
For the fans, baby.
What are each of you most looking forward to about it? What is your favorite thing about CMA Fest? Anyone who wants to.
How lit up Nashville gets. Like, all the fans standing out here when I drove up, it feels like I'm in like LA, and like it's like all the fans love everybody and they're in it. It's like the coolest feeling. And I've only been once, so I can't wait to go this year.
The Uber fares go crazy this week.
Yes.
It's definitely like the Super Bowl of country, and it's so much fun meeting everybody and getting a chance to say thanks to you guys. And I sound like a little suck up, but I mean it with my whole heart. I really do. It's so nice to meet everybody, and excited for Riverfront Stage on Sunday and Nissan Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all really make us feel famous, okay? Because, let me just tell you, most days I don't. But when y'all come to town, it's really like great. I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, we can totally take a picture. No, it is cool, like meeting. There's nothing like country fans, and that's, CMA Fest is. I used to, because I've been doing this for a little bit, I would I'd jerry rig CMA Fest flyers for myself because I was playing, at the bars. And so I would take the CMA Fest logo and put it on my own pictures. I'm like, y'all come catch me at CMA Fest. And they're like, oh, wow, Priscilla, you're doing really big things. I'm like, yes, I am. Catch me at the Jack Daniels bar. So anyways, it is cool. Like this year we're doing Riverfront, and on Friday night we're doing a free show at Skydeck at 11 o'clock. So y'all come by. But yeah, excited to meet everybody.
Yeah, I'm with them. Just getting to meet everybody, it's really cool. And before I moved to Nashville, what I loved about it most is that there's music everywhere at all times, and CMA Fest is just like that times 100. So yeah, I'm excited because last year I played on the Spotlight stage, which is like a free show in the Music City Center, and I'm pretty sure people only showed up last year because they needed some air conditioning. And and this year I get to play the Riverfront stage in Nissan Stadium. So
Let's go.
I'm excited.
Well, one last question too. Did any of you attend CMA Fest as fans before you were doing music?
No, that was too expensive.
Yeah.
Too far away, yeah.
Yeah, I was in Illinois.
Well, I was definitely there. I remember seeing years ago, because I used to play on the back side of the Bridgestone Arena at the Jack Daniels bar, and I played there like every day during CMA Fest. They actually have a lot of local people like playing, just different songwriters, but there was a stage right across the street, and it was just so cool. Like I would be playing those cover songs, and then I remember like Runaway June was playing across the street, and they were like singing Lipstick, and I sang it like 3 songs before. I'm like, oh wow, hey girls, you need me to hop up on that stage with you. But no, I would play the bars, and then I would go and do CMA Fest, and I didn't have to have an ID to get into the bars, so it's pretty lit.
I love it.
But I've been at CMA Fest for 9 years, I guess, of living in Nashville.
I love it. Well, I think that is about all the time we have. Thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
I appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us. Thank you so
thank you
much.
for being here.
Thank y'all for
Thank you,
being
guys.
here.